Hi friends, this is Calpurn Piso presenting a truth, an unseen truth. We are evolved mutated primates that create thought, the mind, with our brains. When the brain is educated, begin to obtain a lot of information from our parents and our society, and still believe in fairy tales, unable to tell between fact and fiction, this is sign of schizotypy, of a malfunctioning brain. We are in the 21st century, not the 12th. Here is the truth. We are all born this way. We emerge from the cave of creation, our mothers. And during the imprinting period, we begin to be aware of our world and existence. And we use our brain to navigate the planet with the five senses. This happens in all of us. It happens in kings and queens and princes and neuroscientists, physicists, astrophysicists, geologists, architects, anyone. We are all born lacking belief and having the brain to navigate the planet, creating thought. When the brain malfunctions, it cannot perceive reality correctly. And the worst cancer of the brain is God belief. It's like an infection like a schizophrenia that affects our brains, destroying reason, rational thought. So if you have this problem, you can never be a person that sees reality. In other words, the only mentally healthy are atheists that don't believe in this nonsense. But what happened is that the fact is every scientist you see around, everyone, even religious leaders, everyone, the Pope, everyone, and all came from the same thing. We were all product of coitus, product of a fuck. All of us emerged from our mothers, from our mother's cave. All of us had a toolkit that created our bodies and our brains. All of us were born lacking belief. And that's a fact. And then, of course, we navigate the earth with the five senses. And we collect knowledge, a fact. But we all, human beings, we are evolved mutated primates, which means we have in our genome born a virus that creates a schizophrenia and creates a lot of mental disorders. This is a fact. Check it out. Borna virus. Recently discovered that it's part of our genome. We have the virus. But, what happened is that it gave us cognition, 40 million years ago. And then we are born, we start learning so fast during the imprinting period that we can, and then we're giving all these fantasies and reality, fairy tales and reality and all that. And we go to school, but if our brains become defective, which already have this problem and susceptible to accepting delusions of reality, then we start believing the fantasies to be reality, to be true. So we start believing in the fairy tales to be true, this, God, and all the rest of nonsense. And we grow up and we get educated, we learn, and we have a profession, whatever, but you still have the idea of God there. If the brain is very strong, it has very strong defenses against all these fantasies and navigating the planet between fact and fiction, then it's studies and study, and you become a really true scientist that knows that believing God and all this nonsense is created in the brain is absolutely a form of an anomaly on the brain. And religious folks get stuck. Every religious person, and the same thing happens in schizophrenics, temporal lobe epileptics that already have propensity, and all of a sudden blow up into the fantasies, which they accept as reality. It can be a stone that talks to them, or a space alien that give him a trip, and then the reason is because the brain is susceptible to these fantasies. That's a psychosis. And as you can see, no place, nowhere in the National Geographic, in science magazines, in everyone, you never see scientists talking about that the brain is the one that creates all the thinking. No one mentions it. So this is the unknown truth, the unseen truth that, if we don't become aware of it, it could make us extinct. We are reproducing to a tremendous speed, throwing on this garbage, or this plastic, all this stuff that our brains, since are mentally healthy, creates. Technology is created by people with healthy brains. It's not created by religious people, because religious people are stuck. They're like retarded, they're theotarded and stuck in the past, and they can never figure anything out. But when a person studies, an atheist, he figures technology and advanced technology. A religious person will never be able to build a plane. 100 years ago, they started, the Wright brothers developed that, build a car, they can't, because their brains are malfunctioning. They have all these fantasies. It's like a schizophrenic trying to build something you can't, because the brains are plagued with it. So religious beliefs are mental illness. It's not unlike a schizophrenia, temporal lobe epilepsy. It's an anomaly of the brain, and this nobody seems to see. This is the unseen truth that could make us extinct. But if we realize this truth, then we can actually save the planet, save ourselves. The planet is okay, but saves us from becoming extinct. This is the reality. And I want to talk about myself when I was younger. I want to use myself as an example, and the rest of scientists. Crazy people like the religious and mentally healthy, brilliant scientists, and also, all these people. So you will see what I'm saying. It's true, with the evidence to back it up. Here I am, my first communion. But see, I was also emerged from a cave. My brain was so infected with all these bizarre mathematical beliefs that are given to you when you're young and you only speak certain languages. But I was lucky because my mother spoke German and Italian, my father French and all that. So I was raised in all these different languages. But, when I start getting educated, I start connecting dots, I use deductive thinking. And I found here I am when I was 1 year old. And then when I was 18 years old, and then when I was 66. And then if I'm lucky, like Ramses the second, I would, if I get mummified, everybody remember who I am 3,000 years later, because they see my body and all that. Here it is. But I discovered that there was a brilliant man, an Epicurean, named Lucius Calpurnio Piso Soninus. He was the father-in-law of Julius Caesar, who was a Christ, a Christus, a savior, a redeemer. But anyway, he existed, and but he was born also out of a fuck. He had a life, he had a brain, he accumulated knowledge and everything like everybody else. And so he had the brain, the universe is within. And we have to go back 2,000 years and try to learn his life and try to understand how he lived. And the mind was amazing. But everybody's like that. Everybody acquires knowledge with the brain. And if you give Lucius Calpurnio Piso, my namesake, because he was also a priest. So he was, he used the sacraments and datura. To see gods, he used all these daturas, and you were speaking tongues also in ancient times. So the brain is the one that does all this. But when you have many gods, it gives you tolerance. You're not intolerant. That's the reason Christianity is so intolerant, because it's a mental illness of Christianity. It's this one deluded psychosis, or imaginary friend, and that gives you, it's like a schizophrenia. And this is the problem in the world. Every psychosis fighting against other psychosis, all created by disturbed brains.
Here's my margarita. Gracias, Ivan. And this is Carpul Piso here in Cartagena, Colombia. Villa Carpul Piso.
We must keep in mind that we are nothing but animals that create bizarre mathematical beliefs with our brains, and we create human beings with our dicks.
My friends, this is Carpul Piso. I usually drink beer, but this time I'm drinking a margarita during the daytime, which is a no-no. So perhaps I'm going to see, this is my third one, I'm going to talk a lot about the spirits, because I'm going to see them very soon after drinking another one.
To keep our brains healthy, in other words, atheist, we must observe, we must connect, we must question, we must be skeptical and seeing everything to understand ourselves and the world in which we live.
Hi, this is Carpul Piso. Can you imagine when you were younger, before you were born, you didn't breathe air. You were right inside your mom's and the amniotic fluid in the placenta. Breathing apparatus were evolved mutated primates. And as in this book, Kapun Piece of Ila, you can see basically it's in there. But now, I had to breathe air.
We are evolved mutated primates that create thought with our brain. For this reason, all religions began by worshipping the sexual organs as gods because they give orgasm. Also the ingestion of entheogens. But all happen in the brain. The brain responsible for our creation of thinking, reason. This reality, the truth, is not seen because it's not taught in schools due to the psychosis of believing God. All these people that created these monuments, they created them. They were also evolved mutated primates. At the time, believed that the heart was the organ to think with. They had no idea about the brain. The Mayans offer blood sacrifices because of the zombie god belief. Also, Christian Hitler did the same, killing the Christ killer, the Jews, all because of the psychosis of God beliefs. A psychopath that is very, very dangerous. It's worse than HIV/AIDS. As you can see, everything is related to the Christianity, which is the most despicable, vile mental illness. All these people were children infected with the psychosis of God belief. In this case, Christianity. The belief a zombie resurrected, say with blood. Now here is the truth that it is unseen. All these people here at the Vatican, priests, your parents, everybody was a child. Everybody was product of a fuck. So when the brain malfunctions, it accepts bizarre mythological beliefs as true. Look at what these people are doing here. It is a psychosis. It creates intolerance. These people are completely deluded at believing God. Everything is created by the brain. It's no exception. And this can be proven in neurology lab. So be aware. This is the unseen truth. We create the delusion of God with our brains, and we accept that as true when this organ malfunctions, like in religion and schizophrenia.
Certainly from my own point of view, I think being a Buddhist in the modern West is about learning to make life seem more meaningful and more precious.
This woman is affected by the schizophrenia-like disorder that makes her believe and accept imaginary friends to be reality. They are created in the brain. They are not outside of the brain. An operation will cure her from these delusions. The same thing can be said of these Muslims, pious Muslim children in the festival of Ashura, that they are punished themselves because that's what the prophet said. And Ali, the sacrifice of Ali, just like the Mayan, blood sacrifice.
On God Almighty. And America's problems, economically and otherwise, stem from the fact that I believe the Lord is very displeased with this nation, on him and snubbed him. And we treat him like he doesn't exist. He doesn't matter.
Crazy moron. You know who this man is? This is Bob Jones, the founder of Christ Psychotic University, Bob Jones University. In the 21st century, we have these people stuck in the past, having neurological disorder of zombie god syndrome. So nobody questioned what these people believe. And nobody questioned his mental health. No one. It's never mentioned. Dawkins had to do that with his God delusion. He had to question all these people saying, hey, you're thinking and you're reasoning no different than schizophrenics. But he never does it. Nobody do it. They don't see it. Science programs, National Geographic, everyone. Nobody mentioned. There's these nuts running around all the place, spouting their crazy stuff from the Middle Ages in this 21st century. That's the reason why I call them theotards. Nobody questions them. One must connect dots in various disciplines to understand our world and understand ourselves. We create everything with the brain. Here is the religious psychosis on the planet. And of course, we have the propensity because in my view, by doing my research, I found out that the Borna virus, which is in our genome, is responsible over 40 million years ago to actually make us evolve into the primates and the thinking ape that we are. Look at this. The Jews here, that's the reason I say they're atheists, because the majority, only 9% believe in all that crap. They've been merchants for over 3,000 years. You see in the whole world that everybody has their own different psychosis of believing God. And this is a survey from 2005. I was doing my research. You have the non-believers, the believers, and all the Hindus. These are all psychoses. All these people create imaginary friends, accepting them as true when the brain is malfunctioning, with the brain. You see the Jews here, 2%. That's the reason I call the Jews mentally healthy. They are the majority, they're atheists. You go through the traditions and all that. But if you doing the research, you'll find out that they don't believe in the bullshit. That's the reason they're so brilliant and so smart. Because you find a lot of people, and they're hated because they're above a lot of people in their practices and their intelligence and all that. Things that they are not. They don't believe in the bullshit of God. You see, the United States is tremendously infected with the Christ psychosis. And you have the other one, the Spanish, the Catholic psychosis type. And then you have all over the world. The majority are believers. Because I believe the reasoning of this is thanks to the coronavirus. And here you see this morons here, they all believe in resurrecting zombies are true. And then you see a brilliant Attenborough presenting the natural selection, explaining about the planet evolution and all that, and he was also created by a fuck, and his brain he can't tell the difference between fantasy and fiction, fantasy and reality, and so therefore that is the reason you see explaining all this. Even Richard Dawkins, the same thing. He was born, out of a fuck, and he grew up, and he'd be able to tell between fact and fiction. And therefore becoming mentally healthy. He couldn't reject all the fantasies. And that's what makes him such a great man. The amazing atheist, he has so many views. The guy is brilliant. He doesn't have all these PhD degrees on that, but he can say automatically that the religion is bullshit. It's awful. These people are lunatics. But he doesn't call them schizophrenia like idiots. And he doesn't say that. But these people are nuts. And unless we see religious people as having a problem with the brain, and just like a schizophrenia cannot tell between fact and fiction, and they have a neurological problem, then we'll never get anywhere. You can see the zombie God believers are everywhere. They understand that the brain is creating all their delusions. Here we can see another scientist actually showing and proving all that. It took him a lot of time to learn all this, and we're evolved mutated primates. But you have to be mentally healthy to be able to determine that this is a fact, and we create everything, thoughts and all that, with the brain.
We've done in the past 4 years a proof of concept on a small part of the rodent brains, and with this proof of concept we are now scaling the project up to reach the human brain. For us to understand the human brain if we do want to get along in society, and I think that it is a key step in evolution.
And for this reason, we must define people that believe in God, as having a disorder not unlike schizophrenia. Look at this.
The introduction of methods and tools.
Children must be taught from an early age that the brain is the creator of thought.
A faintly glowing ember, all that remains of our once magnificent sun. It will be smaller than the size of the Earth, less than a millionth of its current volume, and a fraction of its brightness. Our sun will have become a white dwarf.
And I am certain this brilliant astrophysicist, Dr. Brian Cox, was also born in a Christianity-infected family, conditioned with all this crap. And he has a brain. He was healthy. Instead, going from between fantasy and reality and all this bullshit, and trying to sort out the world by reading a lot of books, by getting educated, and with a healthy brain, being an atheist, he'd be able to differentiate between fact and fiction and understand these things very, very well. Reading many, many, many books, he had a healthy brain. And this is what we must be aware of. Everything is the unseen truth. that when seen will save us and our species from extinction.
Every atom in our body came from stars. In fact, the atoms in your left hand may have come from a different star than the atoms in your right hand. The elements that were created in the Big Bang were just hydrogen, helium, and lithium. The only way they got into your body is if those stars were kind enough to explode. So forget Jesus. The stars died so you'd be born.
And Dr. Krauss was also a child and be able to tell between fact and fiction. And he has born a virus like we all humans have. It's part of us in the genome. So we have to fight this. This is what gives us intelligence. That's what makes us crazy apes with all these neurological problems, because the virus is part of our genome. And we can see that 47 million years ago. And I believe this is what I think is it actually triggered our evolution with other factors, making us crazy apes, the only species that actually thinks, that has this cognition. We are nothing but like primates. one gene of difference between chimpanzees. But guess what? We think. We're crazy. We imagine things. We can create poetry and language and create all a bunch of stuff. And we're the only ones that have, the only primate that has all these diseases, all the mental diseases. The chimpanzees don't have them. The crazy apes running around, crazy chimpanzees. We are the only ones. And I believe this is the key here. All my researchers are leading me to believe this is what triggers it. So religious beliefs are, you can call it a religious virus. It also creates schizophrenia, temporal lobe epilepsy, and many, many neurological disorders that apes don't have, that we do have, thanks to this virus, which is part of our genome. And it's right in front of us. I mean, if we connect all the dots and everything else, we can see it's right there. But a lot of people, scientists, they only have a specific field of education. So they see in one direction. They don't, when you have degrees in PhD degrees and all these degrees, it's very difficult to see the whole thing. So I don't have any of those degrees. So I connect all those dots, and I'm able to kind of connect everything and see, using logic and deductive thinking, that, hey, viruses do a lot of problems to us. Meningitis, caused by a virus. All the things are caused by a virus. And we didn't know that. Even 10 years ago, we had no idea. And we didn't have the genome. Now we know that we are part Neanderthal also. Before we are not related to the Neanderthal, that went extinct. No, we're part of it. And deductive thinking, it made me think, hey, wait a minute, you mean that the Cro-Magnon, the modern man, never start fucking the Neanderthal and having any? How can it be possible? It doesn't make any sense. Oh no, but there's no evidence. At that time, that's what they said. But guess what? Now we are part Neanderthal. That's the reason our species is so varied. Human beings are so varied because of that. But I believe all this, and is based on facts, that what caused our evolution, the primate brain to become, the hominid to become what we are now, is thanks to a virus, to born a virus, and also of course with other factors like the ingestion of entheogens. Here we are. We are come out of a sperm and egg. We have a DNA. We have all these chemicals, all the things, and then we have the brain. And guess what? That's what we create thoughts with. Create God when he manipulates.
And Pius XII, the Nazi Pope, quite psychotic, he hit me with this ring on a private audience with my parents when I was 10 years old, 1952. At the same time with Queen Elizabeth II was crowned. My relative, his cousins many, many times removed. This is the guy. And here he is. I'm safe. Interesting. If I pronounce the name of Jesus, this is it right in here. If I pronounce the name of Jesus, if I'm in a wreck and I'm going to die, and there's no priest around that absolves me from my sins, then of course, I guarantee I am safe because of this paper. It's very valuable, it's parchment. But it's been damaged, It was on my parents' bedroom. Benediction of
Beatissimo Padre, Holy Father, Pius XII. And guess what? He is an evolved mutated primate that he sheds stinks and he will rot. And it's nothing. It's a crazy primate. The man is sick with crypsychosis, as I call it, or religious virus. And there he is again. He was the ambassador, before he came Pope, he was ambassador or nuncio to Nazi Germany, to Christian Hitler. And they vowed, because Hitler was combining Lutheranism, Catholicism, and Roman paganism. And the Pope is nothing but a Roman emperor in disguise. And Roosevelt was also, guess what? A Christian, Christianity infected. He had a brain, he shed, and he's probably rotten now away. And the same thing with the new Pope now. They used to belong to the Nazi youth and all that. These people are crazy. They're psychotic. All religious, all people of faith have a problem with the brain. There are people of schizophrenia. This nun, there is the Vestal Virgins. The woman is absolutely crazy too. This is when he was a nuncio, or was ambassador to Germany. And here he is as an ambassador in Nazi Germany, which is Catholic Nazi Germany, or Christian Nazi Germany. They all hated the Christ killer, the Jews, and they still do. But that's the reason you have racism, pedophilia, and intolerance thanks to Christ psychosis, Christianity. That's the reason the United States is going downhill because of this religion. And religion, which is based on imaginary friends, is nothing but a form of mental illness, no different than the schizophrenia. It's all created in the brain. Here is the Nazi Hitler youth, Benedictus XVI. The man is stuck in the past. And his brain is reader of only one book, and is schizophrenic. He also suffer from this mental illness of God belief. All religions are mental disorders, no different than schizophrenia. Is the truth that is unseen. Nobody sees it as a mental disorder, and this is the reason. And since it's based on a resurrected zombie that says with blood, it's actually encouraged sadomasochism and genocide and psychopathy. This is the problem. Here I am with my cousin many times removed. At least we. And she's also an evolved mutated primate that sheds stinks. She's getting old and decrepit, and she is the head of the Church of England, okay, the Episcopalian Church. So she's the head. But here it is. It is her signature from 1952 when I was 10 years old. That's when the stupid Pope hit me with his ring.
I only knew what I knew now.
No, sorry, Christ psychotic infected imbeciles that probably will think that I had such a bad childhood and I was molested and all these problems. That's the reason I'm an atheist. No, morons. Let me tell you. The reason is because I have a healthy brain. I have really good. And then I grew up and waded through the sea of bullshit of Christian crap and God crap and delusion crap. And I stuck with reality. Really awesome reality. So I'm very proud of my brain. And since I control it, 70 years old, never get sick. How come he's got no punishment for that? No, I had a wonderful childhood, the best, very wealthy family. I got anything I wanted, educated in the best schools, speaking all these languages. And then the Christ psychotic imbeciles that post on my YouTube videos and they say that, I am an arrogant person. Hey, pieces of shit morons. How can I be an arrogant person when I call myself an evolved mutated primate that knows that he sheds things, that I'm going to the only life after death, bacteria eating my remains? No, that proves that I'm have a very healthy, sane brain. In other words, I'm an atheist. Unlike all the people of faith, I do not believe in irrational, theotarded bullshit. Keep that in mind. Oh, I had the best childhood ever. But the reason I'm very, very lucky that I was brought up in this Christ psychosis infection, country and family and everything else, because then now I know the nature of the illness. Now I know it. If I wasn't being brought up in a very, deeply believing Christ psychotic infected family and country and everything, I attended Christ psychotic infected schools. I mean, that's awesome. High school, all La Salle Christian Brothers. Oh. Now I understand all the kind of invention of history and the bullshit that they believe it is true, they were trying to infect everybody with. Amazing. They're brilliant. Because Catholic, that means universally, are the creators of Christianity. You know, in the Council of Nicaea, 325. Amazing. Conquer the world with the bullshit, the missionaries. Protestants, they're idiots. They protest the Pope, they're lunatics. They're the worst. They're very ignorant people, Protestants are. But they're all psychotic. They have defective brains because it is the unseen psychosis. They don't see the truth that we are evolved mutated primates that create God. Nobody mentions that. No one. So they're safe. They're still stupid and insane. But facts are facts. And they talk. Bullshit walks. I'm very arrogant because my brain is healthy. Keep that in mind. Now, in closing, we must keep in mind this. The brain creates the mind. It believes, when it's sane and it becomes educated, it can detect, it can see reality and accept, start getting into science and all that and understanding this. And that is sanity. Atheist can tell between facts and fiction. When the brain is susceptible to the psychosis of God belief, or the anomaly, I would say, then it just leans, despite an education, it leans to God belief. In other words, if you're and all kind of mental disorders also, because when you're an atheist, it means that you lack belief. If you suffer from schizophrenia or mental, then you do have belief, like the people with faith. So keep that in mind. So an atheist is a person that's very, very sane. If you bump him over the head and you have a problem and start believing in something, he's no longer an atheist. He's sick. And so I have to remember that. So people that have a problem with the brain, they are not atheists. Atheist is a person that the brain is healthy, can understand this between fact and fiction. So keep that in mind. People that are religious are readers of only one book. People that are mentally healthy, they are skeptic. They demand proof. They don't believe in any bullshit. Demand proof and read many, many books. Pace Dioro.